How can you get grants or free money to be able to grow your business? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're talking about the best options for small business grants for your business. So if you're interested in getting money for your business that doesn't have to be paid back, well, you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about the best options that are out there right now for underserved markets. We're going to talk about the best options for privately, publicly owned companies that are out there. We're going to talk about federal grants, local grants, everything you need to know about securing grants. You're going to get in this training today. We got a lot to cover, so let's dive in. So a lot of options when it comes to getting business funding, one of which is obviously grants. And what's nice about grants is that it doesn't have to be paid back. It's free money that's not like debt where you have to actually pay it back like a loan, a credit line, or a credit card. It's not equity that you actually have to give up ownership interest in your business as well. It's really just free money that you can use to actually grow your company. So grants sound like a perfect solution, but they're also very competitive. And that's what we're going to talk about today. By niching down and figuring out the best category or the best specific grants for you, it's just going to save you a lot of time, because a lot of people out there are applying for a lot of stuff they're not going to get. And if you can narrow down what actually works better, well, then it removes a lot of the competition and makes it easier for you to actually get approved. Okay. Now, again, sometimes it's not free money. Sometimes you have to pay an application fee. Sometimes there's a small fee involved to get the money, but almost in all cases, the grants we're going to talk about today are for the most part, almost all free, but some of them do have a small requirement or small application fee. When that's the case, we will walk through and talk to you about that. Hello, Cypher from Atlanta. Devin, thanks for coming in from YouTube as well. Hello, Desmond Air from Ohio. I love your name. And Jermaine, thanks for coming in from LinkedIn. If you don't mind tuning in, give me a shout out of where you're from. I always like to say hello to you wherever you are in the world. So let's talk about small business grants. When it comes to startup grants, these problems are only magnified, especially for a startup business being able to get money. And even when it comes to grants, there's not as many grants available for startups as established businesses, and those that are available aren't necessarily an option for any business. What I mean by that is that there's a lot of grants that are very specific, industry specific, for example. Let's just even look at federal grants. If we look at HUD grants, those are really for rural areas. Okay, so it just an example of the types of grants that kind of narrow down to what your business is, what you're using it for. There's a lot of grants out there, for example, from Google that are for companies in the tech space. If you're not in the tech space, you're not going to get a Google grant. Okay, not to say that they won't roll out of the grant programs at work, but Google's not going to, their main grant programs right now are for people in the tech space. They want to advance that field because it helps them. So again, you've got to keep in mind that there's a lot of grants out there, but we start niching it down based on industry, based on the requirements to find the right ones for you. Now, there's also a lot of underserved markets, veterans, minorities, women, those in low-income areas. And what we tend to see with grants is grants really are teed up to serve these underserved markets, these underserved areas. So when we look at HUD, when we look at USDA grants, when we look at rural or we look at urban type of grants, well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to stimulate business in those areas, because when businesses come in, residents come in, right? So I'm from a really small town in Indiana, and that's a really big deal. When a factory or a company comes in, like Elsa came in once, that brings a lot of people into the town. That increases the population, which increases taxes, which, gives the town more that they're able to do. So again, a lot of these grants are for very specialized groups, underserved markets, underserved areas. And that's why they're getting grant money. That's why the free money is being contributed to be able to help those underserved markets or underserved areas to actually be able to get funds to help them not be underserved. So is it even worth it to apply? Well, there is a process involved. It does take some time. And whether you're doing it, a virtual assistant, somebody on your team is doing it, it's things to keep in mind here. And it's also one of the reasons that when you're looking at grants, you got to really focus on what grants will work for you, because you just don't want to commit the time applying for all these grants. You might hear me say that there's over 10,000 grants out there, which there is, but you don't want to go apply for 10,000 and think you're just going to get approved by a mass applying. Every one of those takes research. It takes time to complete the application. It requires certain things be submitted with the grant application. So you've really got to niche down to figure out the ones that you want to go with. And you also got to figure out the ones that you want to skip that just aren't the right ones for you. So what ones are available? That's exactly what I put together today, is the ones that focus on the best underserved markets, the best publicly, privately owned ones. And we're going to talk about where to get state, local, community. We're going to talk about federal grants. We're going to talk about all of those so you get a really good idea of the grants that are available out there. And Jenny, thanks for coming in from Washington. I appreciate you saying hello. Hello from Philly, Rochester, New York. Hello as well. Nashville is in the house. Chicago, what's up? Thanks for coming in. And Desmond Air says, I've had the hardest time getting grants. Well, we'll talk about this today. Hopefully, we're going to make this easy. And at the end, let me know if it does help. Hopefully, I can learn something today is my goal, Tracy. I actually live in a low-income the qualify for both the EIDL and advanced and targeted grant. How do I go about applying, and how long does it take to review funding? You can give us a call about the EIDL loans. We can definitely help you with that. We've got sources, depending on your unique situation, that can help you. Same sources that help us with the EIDL funding. We're in the process of getting another loan right now if we can qualify. And there's a lot of you that can qualify. There's a lot of income credits and things that are out there right now that a lot of you are able to get. Hello, Texas and Georgia in the house as well. Okay, so that being said, let's talk about ones that are open to all businesses, ones that are open to specific sectors like innovation research, women, minorities, veterans, and then we'll talk about general grants and where you can access general grants to start narrowing down what may work for you. So the best open to small business startups, well, that is the best overall open option, especially offered by a privately or publicly traded company, is FedEx. Now, they have a small business grant contest. It's open to any kind of business. And this is actually that's been in operation for 6 months. It has 99 employees or less. Okay. They award $7,500 grants, one for 15 grand and one $25,000 winner every single year. So you can get as much as 25 grand. You can get consolation prizes of $7,500 with their actual program. As a matter of fact, I'm really shocked by this. When we did research of how many publicly or privately owned companies give grants, it was very, very small amount. The vast majority of grants, 99.9, are coming from the government. The rest of them, they're not coming from privately owned, publicly owned companies, which is astonishing to me. People like Amazon and Google and FedEx, UPS, I just think they should be doing a way better job of giving out money to help small business owners succeed. Let's look at FedEx, for example. Doesn't FedEx benefit by helping businesses get started and grow? Right? We're sending a lot more packages. So you would think that places like Google and places like even Best Buy, these companies would be having more grants, because the more they help businesses get started, they help businesses grow, they help more employees be hired, the more they actually benefit. But surprisingly enough, there's not a lot of these companies out there that do it. And FedEx was probably had one of the best that we found with this program, where you can get up to $25,000. So it's something to look into, and then it's applicable to all industries. It's best for innovation and research. Well, the Small Business Innovation Research Program is for scientific research and development. You got to be organized a for-profit company with a place of business in the United States. You've got to be more than 50% owned and controlled by one or more individual who is a citizen or permanent resident alien in the United States, is a lot of these grants you're going to find. And you can have no more than 500 employees in order to be able to qualify. So if you are into innovation, if you're into research, this is one of the best grant programs we found out there for that sector. Best for women business owners, that by far is the Amber Grant. I love the Amber Grant. They award one prize of $10,000 per month. So every month, a new winner is selected to a woman-owned business. One of the recipients also receives an additional $25,000 at the end of the year. So what happens is they come in, they give $10,000 a month to a candidate, and then one of those 12 candidates gets an extra $25,000 at the end of the year. Okay, applicants only need to basically tell their story and turn it in with a $15 application fee. That's the application fee, the small application fee I mentioned at the beginning of this training. So what's nice about this is if you're really good at telling your story, why you do what you do, the problem you look to serve, how that problem has impacted you or others, and how you serve that problem. Well, if you're a women-owned business, this is something that could definitely be very successful. And unlike FedEx, it's 25 grand a year. They're giving away about $145,000 every year with their $10,000 grants and their $25,000 grants. So a lot of money being given away. Okay, if you look for best for minorities, well, the Minority Business Development Agency is the best we found. Okay, they are operated by the U.S. Department of Commerce, and is dedicated to helping minority-owned businesses access the resources that you need to start, grow, and succeed in business. They provide grants through their minority business centers, which provide a lot more than just grants. They provide the guidance and resources that you actually really need to succeed as well. So if you're a minority, then this is something to definitely consider. You want to find grants available in your area by searching for your local minority business center. And these MBDA's website have information on all their current opportunities in your local area. You need to have a DUNS number to apply with them. Okay, so something interesting, but very easy to get. The DUNS number is free. Takes about 2 weeks to about 60 days in order to get. Okay, and if you're looking to get money for your business, you should be getting your DUNS number anyways. That's already part of your fundability. But for this grant, and the only one we really found, you need that DUNS number. It's required in order to get approved. I shouldn't say the only one we found, because just so you know, the federal government requires a DUNS number to ever do work with them. If you ever want to be a contractor for the federal government, you have to have a DUNS number. If you ever want to do anything for the United Nations, you have to have a DUNS number. The Australian government, so many worldwide organizations require the DUNS number. So when you go in to get these federal grants, you might run into the same requirement of getting a DUNS number. It just makes sense. It makes you more fundable. And you're going to start to see, especially at a federal level, that these grants are more, or that a lot of these grants may require the DUNS number. The other stuff that's through private or publicly owned companies, that's more of a local area, maybe not. But when you get into the federally backed grants, you absolutely can see they are. Dr. Andrew says, are you familiar with the Chapman Fund out of Texas? Out of Texas specifically, I'm not. So if you give me some insight on that, I'd love to share that with our next training. And Desmond Ayer says, oh, great, I'm a woman minority and I'm a veteran. Okay, well, great. You're going to qualify for all of these then. And Cypher says, Verizon has one right now for $10,000. Just sign up for their small business program for free. Take the courses and test, and you can get a good chance. So that's great. So Cypher just says, the look in Verizon's $10,000 grant, which is out right now. Cypher, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. And as Cypher has said, a lot of these come and go. When they come out and we know about them, then we do a real quick live training, and it presents on our actual YouTube channel. So keep an eye on that for as well. And we are getting a link right now to some grants in the actual chat. So keep an eye on that as well. Our team is dropping links for minority grants for all these programs that we've talked about so far. They're all getting a tribe dropped in chat if you're attending live. So Best for Veterans, Street Shares Foundation's Veteran Small Business Award, awarded to individual veterans who are low income or otherwise lack the financial means to start their own business or non-venture. Also available to surviving spouses and children. You've got to have a positive impact on the veteran community. So whatever you're doing, you must be having a positive impact on the veteran community. But if that classifies as you and you meet these other requirements, then this is the best one that we found for veterans. Okay, now there's a couple of honorable mention when it comes to grants for women, but no matter, you should always be looking at other funding options beyond grants as well. And one of the honorable mentions is the Innovate Her Small Business Challenge. So it's sponsored by the SBA Office for Women's Business Ownership, awards 3 different winners, which are $30,000 in prize money, and for businesses that have an impact on the lives of women. And awards are designed for products that meet certain standards. So you got to qualify. But again, if you are a woman-owned business owner, it's something you definitely want to look at. These standards that include for them have a measurable impact on the lives of women and families, 30%, have the potential for commercialization, and fill a need in the marketplace. So this is kind of their standards that you've got to meet in order to qualify for that. You also want to look into accessing local grants. So a lot of the grants, and we talk about some of the best for every one of these categories, right? But when we really look at the vast majority of grants, 99% of all grants are really coming from 2 places. They're coming from local government, state, and they're also coming from the federal government. So almost all of it. And earlier we talked about one of the, not Department of Commerce, but one of the departments within the federal government. This is where they almost all come from. So if we look at Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, if we look at, the USDA, these are all divisions of the government, and they all offer some of the best grants out there. So one of the things you want to focus on is local grants, community grants, state grants, grants that are available in your town. And one of the best places that I found to be able to look for that is Grant Watch. So if you look at Grant Watch and you go to grantwatch.com, then what you'll find is tons of grants that are out there that you can actually apply for. So you can see here that we're in here. You can look nonprofit grants. You can look for small business, So you can come in here and kind of find your specific category, grants for individuals. In this case, we're going to go to grants for small businesses. And as you can see, there's 1,000 grants that are found here. Now we can come in and we can start to really narrow this down. So we can say, okay, hey, I'm in Florida. So I'm going to go ahead and mark Florida here. Okay. And then I'm going to say our grant interest, whatever it may be. So let's say in this case, I'm looking for business and I'm coming into search, then it narrows it down to 128. So now I'm only looking at 1/10 of what's there, but those minor categories then let me get a good idea of what kind of grants are available. Because here, grants USA, agencies for the commercial organizations, state, local, tribe governments for research projects related to climate systems and climate change. See, very specific. So again, you got a couple choices here. It might be worth it for you to hire a virtual assistant or have somebody on a very short-term basis at $3 or $4 an hour, go through these 128. In this example, I'm in Florida, your number is going to be different. And go through the next source we're going to talk about as well to find the ones that will work for you. But we can see here that, for example, this one is grants and cooperative agreements to U.S. states, public agencies, rail carriers, manufacturers, the Transportation Research Board, Universe Transportation. You can see this is all about transportation, right? So, and we can drill this down, get all the specifics of what's actually needed and be able to take a deeper look at it. So again, this is a great place to go, Grant Watch, and you could even see that it's based on a state level too. So I can come in and find out the industry that I'm looking for. I can come in, narrow down that way. I can also narrow it down based on the state, the region, the area I'm in to be able to find more of those local grants. So something you definitely want to take a look at. What I like about Grant Watch and what I like about these local community state grants, they're way easier to get than federal grants. A lot less people are applying for them. So you're absolutely going to find grants that will work for you just by coming in, drilling them down, what one works for your industry, your community, based on what's available in your community. And Desmond Ayers says, just went to the site. They offer grant writers for $50,000 for $50. That's awesome. So Desmond Ayers brings up a great point. He says, hey, I just went to the site and they offer grant writers for $50. Look, there's a whole process here involved that to apply for a grant that a lot of them make you fill out an application. They make you write and tell a story. They make you go through a process. So again, you could definitely hire grant writers to do that work for you. Locating them is only part of it. Chris Johnson is really big in the grant world as well. And you can go to Chris Johnson's website or just look him up. And he has several different programs that you can actually qualify for. But the nice thing is that you're able to come in through Chris's program. And let me see if I can pull Chris's info up. And you can always tell him we sent you over there. Chris Johnson, please put grants. And I'll pull up his info. Now, he's been in our funding challenge before. And we've had Chris multiple times come in and present. But Chris Johnson's great as well. He's got multiple products and programs that do cost money. And they cost anywhere between less than $50 to thousands of dollars, where he can go through this whole process for you. He can find the grants at work. He can help you apply for the grants at work. Anything to do with grants and the process of getting grants, Chris can help you through. Probably one of the most well-known resources out there besides grant writers that you can find in other places that can help you as well. But $50 is great for that. And Clayton says, sign up for Credit Suite. It's amazing. Awesome. The staff is so helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. And may post this link. Yes, Desmond Ayers, please do. Please post this link and then tell us the $50 and then I'll highlight your comment so you'll know. And also in the comment or in the comments, you're seeing that our team is coming in and they're giving you access to every one of the grants that we've talked about today. So if you're attending live, you're able to see these grants in your chat and actually access them. And Desmond Ayers is going to come in and she's going to post the link to grant writers for $50. That's worth taking a look at as well. You also want to access federal grants. This is where, 85-90% of all grant money lies is through the federal government. Like I said, whether it be the Department of Commerce, any of these departments, USDA, HUD, most of the grants that are out there are coming from the federal government. And the nice thing is that you're able to easily access all these in one place, which is grants.gov. So if we go to grants.gov, we can come in here, we can go to search grants, and then we can easily come in and search by a lot of different factors. And we almost have to because there's 2,300 grants that are available right here. So we can come, we can sort by, we can choose by all different criteria right here. You can see based on the industry you're in, your eligibility, your funding instrument, whether, for example, I want a grant, I don't want a cooperative agreement. Okay. And then I can come in and narrow this down even further to figure out the category that I'm in. In my case, let's say I want it for business and commerce, and I'm able to come down and narrow this down pretty quickly. So again, real easy to go to grants.gov and narrow down and find the best federal grant. We've talked about the best one for veterans, for minorities, for women-owned businesses, for innovation. We've talked about the best one out there for publicly or for public and privately owned companies. We've also talked about the biggest ones for local community grants, where to access a lot of those. We've talked about now where to access the grants through the federal government as well. And here you can look at Chris Johnson's info too if you need help along the way. And you could post a link. Oh, she says, yep, Desmond Air, here you go. This is Chris Johnson's information. You can always tell him that we sent you over there as well. He comes out of our funding challenge. We do a lot of stuff with Chris, and he is a rock star when it comes to helping with this. So what if grants aren't enough? Well, then there's a lot of other funding you may qualify for, right? Obviously, business credit, profile, score is important as you build business credit. That opens up a lot of funding opportunities for you as well. Don't forget, if you want to get money for your business, you got to be fundable. And fundability is something we talk about a lot. You can go to youtube.com/credit suite, get our training on building your business credit, get our training on improving your fundability. This becomes very important to help you qualify for even more money. And you've seen that by getting your fundability right, it even helps open up the door for you to get grants as well. We've even looked at sources that some aspects like the Duns number of fundability, they're not even going to help you unless you have that. So remember, by building a business credit profile, by improving your fundability, that's going to open up the door for you to get grants and even more kinds of funding. Also, don't forget, there's a lot of other kind of funding you can get outside of grants as well. And we've got a great guide at creditsuite.com/27 ways. The number 27, the word ways. And at creditsuite.com/27 ways, you're able to access 27 ways to get funding for your business outside of grants. So I think that can help you as well. And that being said, grants, free money, great way to go, but let's not forget about the other options if you don't want to apply for grants that are out there. Okay, so again, to recap, different sectors, different industries, different challenges you may have. There's all different kind of grants available, right? So if you're an underserved market, an underserved category, then there's a lot of options that can absolutely work for you. And there's a lot of grants out there through the federal government, through states as well, that you're able to get through Grant Watch, through grants.gov as well. So next time we're going to talk about turning your commercial vehicle into a Turo fleet, how to get fleet credit to help fuel and service vehicles, how to get auto financing to get vehicles even without a personal guarantee and credit check. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Turo. I can't believe that my team has teed this up for me. It's like my perfect world. For those that don't know, I talk about this very rarely, but this is a little side business that I've got, and it's actually allowed me to own any vehicle that I want to own without it actually costing me money. All my vehicles make money. You don't hear me talk about this a lot. Now it looks like my team's going to give me an opportunity to talk about it. So every vehicle I own it actually makes me money. So if you are really into that and you like to turn liabilities into assets, this is something we're going to talk about next week. You can even do this on the very exotic high end. As a matter of fact, one of my very close friends just got a Lamborghini for his birthday. His wife is awesome. We actually just went on vacation to Cabo with them weeks ago, and she bought him a Lamborghini, and he was messaging me today about Turo. And he said, okay, give me all the rundown. What do I do for insurance? How do I get this thing listed on Turo? How can I turn it into an asset, not a liability? So this is really, really real out there. As a matter of fact, not only do I do it, but a lot of my friends do it. And I'm going to be talking to you about how to succeed with that. We'll be diving into that in our next training, which will be Tuesday at 1:00 Eastern. Don't forget, if we can help you get money for your business, give us a call. We never charge you a dime of money to helping you get loans and credit lines. Sometimes lenders pay us an affiliate fee. Sometimes they don't. And so all you have to do is just give us a call. And on a call, 3 things happen. We'll do a fundability assessment to figure out what you need to fix or improve with fundability to help you get more money for your business. We'll help you get your business credit reports for free from the business credit reporting agencies. They cost $250 from them direct. We get them for you at no cost, go over them with you and give you tips and tactics to improve your business credit. And on this funding free qualification, we also do a funding assessment. We tell you all the funding you can qualify for now. Look, there's a lot of loans, credit lines, credit cards you might be able to get right now that you don't even know about. We determine all of that on a qualification call or on that actual consultation call with us and qualify you for funding. So if you want to do that, give us a call at 877-600-2487, email info@creditsuite.com, or just go to creditsuite.com/consult, and that'll get you there. And if you got value value from this, hit that like button, hit the love button, please. It's all I ask of you. Hit the share button as well. And you might as well subscribe, because when you subscribe, you get access to all of our live trainings when we go live. You get the ability to come in, being parts of our chat on our different channels like YouTube, Facebook, and on my LinkedIn as well. Plus, you get access to all the links that we're dropping in along the way that helps you through this process. And on top of that, you're also getting access to stuff that's very, very, very timely. So when a new credit line rolls out, when a new grant program, when these things roll out, we're typically one of the first ones to announce that, put a live video up on YouTube, and then you're notified and you know about this money that comes up, even if it's for a very select period of time. So make sure you subscribe on our channels, and you can access all of our social channels at creditsuite.com. Top right of our page, thousands of videos on YouTube, live tips on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We have videos, short video content, 1 minute being released on our IG stories, also as well as TikTok. And on top of all of that, you can access our podcast, the Business Credit Financing Show, where we interview people that teach you all facets of running and growing a business. It's where we don't just talk about capital. We have people that come in that teach you how to grow, how to scale, how to advertise, how to brand, how to market, how to maximize profits, how to build systems. All of that is on our podcast, the Business Credit Financing Show. And every bit of that, you're able to come in and you're able to access at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com. Everyone says, yes, I've been looking into Turo. I know Turo is fantastic. I can't believe we haven't covered this topic, but I'm going to teach you some crazy stuff when we talk next Tuesday about Turo. To give you just a peek into my world, I drive a McLaren, about $300,000, and I will make a ton of money on that car, as I already do, not only when I sell it, because I buy it right, which I'll teach you next Tuesday, but I also am able to rent it out. To give you just an example of what's possible for our next conversation. The last time I rented it was a couple weeks ago. I was out of country, so it didn't bother me. It sits in the garage. A local restaurant owner used it for a display for a show, so very little miles were on it. And I made net $1,800 on it, which covered 2 months of car payment for it being rented for 3 days and hardly any miles put on it. So this is a massive moneymaker. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of friends that this is their business. So we're going to talk about all this on Tuesday when we talk about Turo, turning a fleet of vehicles into a profit center, buying any kind of car that you want, making money on it. And we'll also be talking about other ways outside of Turo to do that, how to get financing for these vehicles, how to get fleet financing, commercial financing, how to get fleet cards to be able to fuel the vehicles, even how to get auto financing without a personal guarantee and without a personal credit check. I'm going to give you some of my insider tips too of, well, I'll give you a little bit insight of how to put these in companies' names, what kind of insurance policies you can get on the company, how to limit liability by actually making sure that you have different layers of protection when you rent these vehicles. I'm going to decode it all on our next training. I look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for tuning in. And Cypher says, thank you again for your services. I appreciate you all tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you on our next training where we talk about more cool ways to get money to start and grow